Bula everyone, my name is Isireli and I intern at the Fiji Museum under the Urban Pathways program. Today, I will be interviewed by the Senior Field Research Officer for the Archaeology section at the Fiji Museum. The views expressed in this podcast are solely mine and do not represent the institution and the project that I intern for. Mereoni will briefly introduce herself and this podcast on what was the purpose of the trip that is the subject of this podcast. Please excuse any background noises as we are recording this outside the Fiji Museum office. Over to you, Mereoni.
My name is Mereoni Camailakeba and I hail from the village of Nambua, district of Lomanikoro, province of Rewa, and have maternal links to Tavua village, district of Nova in the province of Rewa. I'm the Senior Field Research Officer of the Archaeology and Gazetting section here at the Fiji Museum. The Archaeology and Gazetting section received a request from the Tokotokan Rotana of Tavua village in Tavua. The team arrived in Tavua and went straight to present our sevu to the Turanganatui Tavua. The sevu can be defined as an integral part of a Fijian tradition where a bundle of Yangono roots are presented by a visitor to those whom he or she is visiting to seek permission to enter their territory. This was presented to notify the Turanganatui Tavua of the teams present in the village and also seek permission to carry out the archaeological impact assessment as requested by the Tokotokan Rotana of Tavua village. The team then later was directed to the place where they will be accommodated in and also received another sevu from the family that will be hosting the team for the next 3 days. The second site that the team visited was in Hotua village in Ba. This was a day trip and the assessment was done by traveling by a fiberglass boat to the site along the Ba River. The purpose of the trip that the team attended to was this is a community request that came through the assistance and support of the Commissioner's Office, Western Division. Members of the said Tokotoka would like to protect their yabu and associated stories amidst potential tourism development that is encroaching their sacred site. Groundbreaking for this touristic opportunity in the area should eventuate by the end of 2021 as was proposed. The Rotana site was discovered by researchers from the University of the South Pacific and there are documents that have already been written about them. Rotana archaeological site is a ring wall mound, one of the number of similar sites interpreted as likely precursors to complex ridge-top fortifications. From the assessments conducted by the team and the interns, that the site suggested that there were occupation in the area could have begun in the last millennium that involved exploitation of nearshore marine resources. The other community request was from the village and of the Yavusa Nairai, Yavusa Nandua, and the Yavusa Balabu of the villages of Hotua and Nawangarua of the Tikina Nailanga in Ba. The request was to conduct an archaeological impact assessment on the old village sites to safeguard it from the mining that is currently being carried out at the mouth of the Ba River deltas. These sites are prone to flooding as this is beside the Ba River and also erosion over the years, and this is a major threat to the sites. Both the trips were headed by the Manager Archaeology and Gazetting section, Mr. Eliana Koro, and the team consisted of the Fiji Museum interns, Ms. Ala Cassandra Singh, Mr. Isireli, Malua, and myself, Mereoni Camailakeba. The work of the Archaeology Department here at the Fiji Museum, as the Fiji Museum is a statutory body governed by the Fiji Museum Act and the Poapi Act. The Poapi Act is the Preservation of Objects of Archaeological and Paleontological Interest Act of 1940. This act prescribes that unless authorized by the permit issued by the Board of Trustees, no person shall by means of excavation or surface operation search for any object of archaeological and paleontological interest. In recent years, the focus of museum has moved from being merely a repository of artifacts to being a research and educational institution. The Fiji Museum staffs of the Archaeology and Gazetting section engages in archaeological research, collection and preservation of Fiji's oral tradition, the publication of materials on languages and cultures, and programs designed to make Fiji's youth more aware of its various cultural backgrounds. So, Isireli, with your experience on the week-long fieldwork, generally, what did you expect from the 3-day trip?
Honestly, I did not know what to expect, as fieldworks are full of surprises. But yes, a lot of sun tanning, apart from the work that the team had to do. At the same time, I really did not know what to expect. I'm undertaking a Bachelor of Arts program, majoring in law and politics at the University of the South Pacific, and fieldwork is not the stuff that we are taught or told to do. But I was happy and excited for that 3-day trip, and I was mostly in for the fun and adventures, apart from the archaeological work that the trip was scheduled for. It was a 3-day trip, which due to unforeseen circumstances led to 4. One of the many joys of fieldwork. When I was approached to accompany the archaeology team for this fieldwork, I was a bit hesitant at first, but Mereoni here assured me that all will be well and that fieldwork is the best part and an important component of the archaeology department at the Fiji Museum. So we started our journey on Wednesday, the 24th of November last year, and it was not the usual road trip. To my surprise, we took the highland route, that is through Naitasiri, up Monasavu, then on to Nandarivatu before descending down to Tavua. We left Suva at around 11 a.m. and arrived in Tavua at about 5 p.m. Mereoni?
That's right.
The scenery was breathtaking. As soon as we arrived, as per protocols, we presented our UCFCF to Tavua. We spent the whole of Thursday in Tavua and then the half of Friday for the site in Ba. Yep, that's it.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Isireli, was this your first time surveying ancient village sites with the Fiji Museum Archaeology team, or have you undertaken a similar activity prior to this?
This is my first time surveying ancient village sites with the Fiji Museum Archaeology team and my first ever fieldwork for the Fiji Museum. One thing that is always close to me and fascinates me deeply is Fiji's history. This hands-on experience with the team was mainly to survey and document the ancient village site at the top of Nrautana Hill in Tavua and Votua and Nawangaroa villages in Ba. The first was a climb and the other was a short boat ride, both scenic and adventurous. Learn the basics of archaeological mapping and how to differentiate between ancient house mounds, hill forts, ditches, etc. And no, we did not sit around for hours to sketch all of this. They were all the coordinates were all plotted in an app offline. Once we had a stable connection, they would be automatically uploaded online, thus aiding with report writing, etc. Well, that shows one of the many marvels of technology.
Nice, really. Some often face challenges on such trips. Did you face any? And what was your experience like, really?
Other than the sunburns, none at all. I liked Nrautana Hill especially because it was worth the climb and the view from up there is amazing. To one side you could see the highlands of Nandarivatu and the other the sea with the Atuasawas in the background. It was like climbing up Mount Koromamba but with less trees.
That's right, Isireli. So on the same note, what did you learn as an urban youth?
What did I learn as an urban youth?
Yes.
The first thing that caught my attention during this trip was the participation of young people in the traditional kava ceremony. All throughout the ceremony, the elders were the watchful eyes and supervised the young in the delegation of the kava ceremony, along with its proper protocols and processes unique to their people. We call it in Tauke the Venkarangaravi Kena Tuta Kinangona. This taught me the importance of knowing how to play and what role do I play during such occasions, amongst many other things.
Okay. So, Isireli, would you want to go on more fieldwork in the future?
Yes, definitely. I would love to go on many more fieldwork with the archaeology department in the future. So that's all, yes, from my side, Mereoni.
Okay. Maybe before we wrap up, from what you've learned through this trip as an urban youth, what would you recommend for future trips that you would attend for the museum, or maybe for your future career? What would you like to improve in terms of your cultural behavior or cultural duties when you're out there in the field? For example, presentation of sevu or receiving it on behalf of
The guest. So yes, I think that would be the main part. That thing would be one thing that I would want to improve on in my future, during my future trips for the Fiji Museum, is knowing how to present any sevu, how to accept any sevu, and how to bid farewell, the proper processes involved in an itoki farewell. So yes, that's my answer, Mereoni.
Okay, Vinakavalevu Isireli, we hope you all enjoyed our short conversation regarding the archaeology and museum work. And till the next time, Modimanda.
Bye, everybody.